At 85, Sir Cliff Richard is finally opening up about the truth of his relationship with George Harrison, a story that stretches back to the beginning of British rock and roll. Born Harry Roger Webb on October 14, 1940 in Lucknow, India, Cliff moved to England after independence in 1948 and grew up in the modest post-war neighborhoods of Cheshire, Hertfordshire. Inspired by American rock and roll idols like Elvis Presley and Little Richard, he transformed himself from an ordinary boy into one of the founding fathers of British pop music. With his 1958 hit Move It, often called the first authentic British rock and roll song, Cliff and his band, first known as the Drifters. Later, the Shadows ignited a cultural shift that predated the Beatles. Throughout the 1960s, his hits like Living Doll, Please Don't Tease, and The Young Ones made him the nation's teen idol. And unlike many stars from that era, Cliff adapted gracefully as the Beatles took over the world. His clean-cut image, versatile voice, and deep Christian faith helped him transition into pop ballads, gospel music, and international stardom, earning him a decades-long career unmatched by most artists. With more than 250 million records sold and a top 5 UK hit in every decade from the 1950s to the 2010s, Cliff remains one of music's most enduring icons. But as he reflects on his long life, he reveals that one of the most meaningful connections he ever made was with George Harrison. Cliff remembers meeting George in the early 1960s, when Cliff was already a superstar and the Beatles were still rising. Their first encounter wasn't glamorous, just a quiet backstage moment in Liverpool, but Cliff immediately noticed George's shy smile and deep, thoughtful eyes. George admired Cliff for helping pave the way for British rock, while Cliff admired the Beatles' young guitarist for his humility and musicianship. Their friendship grew slowly, built on mutual respect and a shared fascination with spirituality. Cliff says they had long conversations about God, each speaking from different worlds, Cliff rooted in Christianity, and George exploring Hinduism and meditation. He once told me, "All paths lead to the same place if your heart is right," Cliff recalled. "I never forgot that. There was never debate, only curiosity, kindness, and a search for meaning." As their careers exploded in different directions, Cliff maintained his wholesome image, while George became one of the most influential cultural figures of the 20th century. Yet Cliff always defended George's spiritual journey, saying people misunderstood him. He wasn't running from fame, he was searching for inner peace. Cliff remembers seeing George play the sitar in a small room during a charity event. "It wasn't a performance," he said. "It was emotion, something deep and real." That moment changed the way Cliff thought about his own music. And when George passed away in 2001, Cliff says he felt the loss more deeply than he ever expected. "He wasn't someone I saw often, but his presence in my life was lasting," he said. "I admired him not as a Beatle, but as a man who stayed true to his spirit." Cliff also admits he envied George's courage to step away from fame when he needed peace, a courage Cliff himself never had. He could disappear into his garden, play his guitar, and just be. "I never quite managed that. I loved performing too much." Today, in his twilight years, Cliff reflects with gratitude on the quiet friendship he shared with George Harrison, a bond built not on fame, but on soul. "I'm thankful I knew him," Cliff said softly. "Not the icon, not the Beatle, the gentleman trying to make sense of life like the rest of us." Their connection, he says, was a reminder that music comes not just from talent, but from the heart. And with the honesty that comes from age and wisdom, Cliff's tribute to George stands as a moving testament to two artists who spent their lives seeking harmony not only in their music, but in their spirits.